Today we are going to demonstrate how inspection notice and inspection report works in Rhyton system. First, we are going to talk about inspection test plans, then we will see how we can issue an inspection notice and how we can accept or reject them. Finally, we will move on to BI reports. Inspections are registered based on activities and sub-activities, since this system is based on inspection test plan. As you can see, for each inspection test plan, we have defined some activities, and for each activity, we have sub-activities. Also, we can select a reference document for each inspection and test plan. In sub-activity, we define the class and the responsible nodes for each sub-activity. For example, for this record, the contractor role is the executioner. Party or the leader is the witness, and the company is for review. Now let's take a look at the inspection notice flow. In this project, which is a mega project, there are three parties that are responsible for constructing an oil refinery. As you can see, in this mega project, the conditions are too complicated since there are too many companies involved. And also we have over 3,000 sub-activities. As I mentioned earlier, we have 3 EPC general contractors. Each of them have 2 construction contractors. And also there is a leader which is responsible for controlling and coordinating other parties. And finally, there is a TPA which performs the inspections, and also the TPA is the client's representative. Now let's check the flow. First of all, the subcontractor will issue an activity as an inspection notice and send it to the third party. It is worth mentioning that the system checks over 3,000 conditions in this list. And the system will automatically detect the appropriate recipients based on the entered sub-activities and class, which means for each step we have different recipients. After that, the responsible person will be notified and the process continues. The same thing happens in QC party 2, and then the leader. After the leader's acceptance, depending on the activities, we have different outcomes. It may follow line 4 to the TPA or 5 to the client, or 6, which means for this certain activity, we don't need TPA or client acceptance. When we reach step 8, which is FIR subcontractor, every party has agreed the inspection and inspection date and time has been decided. Now the subcontractor has to attach the inspection report in the system, and the work continues, so that other steps decide the status of inspection reports. The first step is the QC party, which again we have the same scenario. Based on the activities, we have different outcomes. For example, it could go through 11, 14, 16, or could directly go through 15. I must add that if the work is rejected in the previous steps, the whole work will be stopped, and the system will automatically create a new revision of FIM and sends a notification to the subcontractor that the work has been rejected and needs to be started again. So if other parties don't reject the work, it reaches step 12, which is FIR accept. At this point, the client still can reject the work. If not, after 14 days, the work will be accepted and the client cannot reject. Now let's see how this works in the system. Now I'm going to log in with subcontractor's username to register and issue an inspection notice in system. As I said earlier, system is based on inspection test plan. And now after selecting the project, I will choose the inspection test plan. After pressing the add button, the system requires some information. I select area, then unit, and the discipline. Now, based on the entered information, the software will automatically detect the related subsystem or subsystems. After that, if the inspection notice is related to an equipment, you can choose the equipment. Otherwise, you can move on. In this case, I will choose a fixed equipment. Now, a new record is added in the system. We select the related activity and the subcontractor and the owner. The system is designed in a way that the subcontractor can only see their records and only select themselves as the subcontractor. The same thing applies to owner too. The subcontractor can only select their owner. I must add that we can give administrative roles to some users so that they can see all the information without any limitations. Now we select the sub-activity or activities for this inspection notice. After pressing the Add button in the pop-up, we can see the list of sub-activities which have not been selected for this equipment. We can select one or more. We can issue one inspection notice for more than one sub-activity. If the sort order has the same number, for example 1, in the system we can issue one inspection notice. But the system sorts them in order by default and controls the sequence in order too. For example, the second activity cannot be started sooner than the first one. Finally, we save the information. Now we move on to issue an inspection notice. Now I have to fill in the required information for issuing this inspection notice. The first one is the notice number, which the system automatically generates based on the project's numbering procedure. Then we enter description or the details. And after that, I choose the proposed inspection date, which actually is the subcontractor's proposed for inspection date. Then the duration of inspection, which is per day, for example, could be 2 days. And then the hour of the inspection. And after that, the minutes. And finally, the reference documents of the inspection. After pressing the Save button, this work will begin its flow, which was explained earlier. I have to add that the required information in this list is completely customizable and can be changed to cover your needs. Also, if you need to upload any documents, you can upload them with this button here. Now let's check the flow. Check the subcontractor's working box and review the work one more time. Then we send it to the next step. This is Rhyton's working box. The work that we see here could be filtered by project and entity. By entity, I mean different process in EPC project, for example, document flow, purchasing, and so on. Also, we can filter by status. For example, I can see done items, which have been finished, or pending, which means they are still in progress. When I press view, I can see 2 records that I have to work on them. One of them is for FIR process, and the second one that I just started is in the first step, FIN subcontractor. And I have the related details which can be changed if necessary. For example, the FIN number. Also, I have the remained duration or delay, which shows the days that I have the work in my working box. And return status, that shows how many times the work has been rejected and returned to my working box. If the work is rejected once, it turns to yellow, twice orange, and more than 2 times, it changes to red. Now, if I want to make changes or see more details, I select the record and I can press Ctrl+E on my keyboard or right-click and select Show Related Information. By doing that, I see the pop-up which we saw earlier again. I have the notification number. If I want to make changes, I can do it again. The description, tag number, activity, and the rest of the data. I still can make changes if the work status is pending. As soon as I press Accept Work, the status of the record changes from pending to done, and the work goes to the next step. It's good to know that I can select multiple records to accept or reject. By pressing the Show Diagram button, I can see the whole flow and the step which we currently in. As you can see, we are in the first step of the flow. If I wanted to check the last status of the work, for example, who is currently working on the inspection notice, or check the general flow, I can select the FIN history report. To do that, first we accept the record. Now the record has been accepted. The status changes from pending to done. So I'll check my done items and then select my work. After that, I choose FIN history to check the flow of the work. As you can see here, I have my FIN number, my issue date, and inspection date, inspection hour, the related activity and sub-activity, discipline, and the subcontractor. And then I have the steps. The first step, which is in my working box, I have the start date and end date. You can see the action and the person name, which in this case was Sunrise Company. After that, I can see that my work has gone to next steps working box. You can see the name of the person here and the start date. Also bear in mind that the design of this report is pretty customizable and it could be changed to your company's policy. For example, the structure and the logos and the general view of the report could be changed if necessary. Now we log in with the next steps person to check the work. In this part, we are going to log in with Abigail's Vasquez username to check the working box. When I change the status to pending and click view, I can see the work which was sent by Sunrise Company. I can see the start date plus the time. And now I want to check the details and related information of this inspection report. As you can see, again, I have the notification number, the description, the inspection date and time, and other related information. Now I have the option to whether accept or reject the work. In this case, I'll accept the work, and I want to check the FIN history report one more time. The work has been moved to done. I select it one more time and check the report. As you can see here, the second step by Abigail Vasquez has been accepted. I have the start date and end date, and I can see that the flow moves on to the next step, which is FIN QC's party. And I have the next person's name, Jennifer Schock and James DeLuca here. Now, there is another report that we want to check here. We gather the standard inspection notice report from the project, and we have defined the report into the system. At the first part, you can see some basic information such as activity, notification number, the revision, discipline, tag number, dates, and duration. So basically the information that we have issued. Then the second part, you can see the name of the person. Every time the work is accepted by a person, the signature plus date and time will be added to this form. And this has helped organizations to go paperless in this process. And as you can see, for this work, Abigail Vasquez has accepted the work, and you can see the signature plus date and time for this step. And the rest of the steps is still empty, so the work goes on to their working box. And right now we are going to log in with the next person's user to check the work. Now I'm going to log in with James DeLuca's username and check the working box. I select pending and click view. I have the work right here. As you can see, I have the related information here. And as I told you before, the inspection date is proposed by the subcontractor, and it could be changed in the flow. Since the inspection date is not appropriate, I'm going to change the date and hour. I can move it to the next day, and I will also change the hour. With this change, all the previous steps will be notified. Before we log in with the next person's user, we log in with Abigail Vasquez's user to check the notification on inspection date. So I'll accept the work. And after that, I can check the FIN history report again. As you can see, the work has been accepted by James DeLuca. And after that, we have the next person, which is the FIN leader. Now, before we go to the next person, let's check the Abigail's notification on inspection date. Now I log in with Abigail Vasquez username. And as you can see, I have 3 notifications here, and also the icon on the software is showing 3 in red, which means I have 3 unread notifications. On your right, you can see the details of the notification. As you can see, the inspection date has changed and inspection hour has changed. And the other one could be for another change in inspection hour. We have 3 kinds of notification. One of them, as you can see here, is inside the software. The other one could be in a form of text message to your phone. And the last one is by email, which we send you an email of the changes or in general the notifications. Now let's go to the next person's username and check the flow. Now we are going to log in with the leader's user. We'll move on to the working box. Let's check the diagram for this work. As you can see, we are in the leaders step. And let's check the FIN report. As you can see, the signature of the previous steps plus date and time. And right now the leaders is empty because we still haven't accepted the work. Now let's check the information and check the attachments. As you can see, there is no attachment to this work, so in this scenario the leader is going to reject the work. I click on the reject. By default the first step is loaded in the software, but to save time we are going to choose the previous step, QC's party, then we'll write the comments. For example, no attachment. Also, the first part that I chose the QC's party, it could be defined in the system that this rejection part could be done automatically by the software, which means every time the leader rejects a work, the work automatically goes to the QC part and could not be selected with the user. Now the work has been rejected to the previous step. Now I'm going to log in with James DeLuca's user again to check the work. As you can see, the work has been rejected to James DeLuca, and below you can see the comment, the date, and the person who commented on the work, and you can see the comment itself, no attachment. Let's check the diagram again. As you can see, we were in the leaders step. The comment was no attachment. And let's take a look at the return status. As you can see, we have once, which means the work has been rejected for the first time and it turned to yellow. Now we are going to upload the attachment. Let's click on the document, upload. Then we select the document to upload into the system. And as you can see, the file has been uploaded to the system. And also, the file could be deleted if it's uploaded mistake. And you can preview it or you can download it on your computer. Okay, now that we have uploaded the document, we can accept work and send work to the leader again. Now we will log in with the leader's user. Now that we have logged in with the leader's user, let's check the working box again. As you can see, the document is uploaded and you can see the document whether it's a computer or with your mobile phone. If you want to view the file, you can either double click on the record, or with the preview button, you can see the record. And also you can download the file to your system, whether it's a computer or a mobile phone, then view the file. As you can see, there is a built-in viewer in our software which allows you to view the files. Okay, now that we have checked the attachment, the leader accepts the work. And before we move on to the next step, let's check the reports one more time. First, we have the FIN report. As you can see, finally the leader accepted the work, and you have the signature plus date and time. And the FIN history, as you can see, in the fourth step, the leader rejected, then it was returned to the QC party. After that, the leader accepted the work, and now it is in the next step, which is TPA. And the person, Michael Mosley. We are going to log in with the next user and check the work. Now we will log in with TPA user. And the TPA accepts the work. Let's check the report. As you can see, the work was sent to the next step, which was the client. Now let's log in with the client's user. We have logged in with and the user. We can check the diagram. You can see that it is in this step. As I explained earlier, at this point we have uh, different outcomes. For this certain activity, the next step is the field inspection report, and at this point the subcontractor, at the next step, the subcontractor uploads the document, and we begin the field inspection flow. So the client accepts. We will check the report one more time. So all the steps have accepted the inspection. You can see the signature, time, and date. And you can check this report and this file from your mobile phone too. And let's check the next report, FIN history. So this is a summary of the flow which we have been working on. At first, the subcontractor, the Sunrise company, sent the work to the next person, which was the construction party, Abigail Vasquez. Then we moved on to QC party, and then the leader rejected the work because of the attachment. You can see the comment here. Then the work was rejected to the QC party again. James DeLuca uploaded the attachment. Then it moved on to leader again. The leader accepted the work. Then we have TPA, and finally the client. And the next step is the FIR subcontractor. So at this point, we will log in with the subcontractor's user to begin field inspection flow. So we log in with the subcontractor's user and check the working box. Okay, as you can see, the subcontractor has two remaining works in his work inbox, and one of them is for the previous one, and the other one is from another work. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to upload the form for both of them. So I will up the file has been uploaded. By double clicking I can see the file. Now I will do the same thing for the other one. The file has been uploaded. As I've mentioned before, the system has the feature to accept multiple works or reject multiple ones. Now I'm going to select both of the works and hit the accept button. And as you can see, both of the works have been accepted. Okay, the next step is FIRQC's party. And as you can see, at this point, we may have more than one outcomes. The system will automatically detect the correct one based on the entered data, subactivities, and the rest of the criteria. For example, it could go through line 11 or 12 or 15. So the system will decide. Now let's check the report. The next recipient. As you can see, we have two recipients from FIRQC's party, and we will log in with one of the users to check the work. Now we have logged in with the next person's user. As you can see, I have the notification for the FIR. I can see the notification number, the FIR number. Now the system has informed me to check my working box to see the new work. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll open my working box. And this was just one type of notification that you have in the system. Also, you can have the notification on your mobile phone, or you could be informed by email. Now, the user will check the details of the work. Now I'm going to check the file that the subcontractor has uploaded. Here I can check the accepted items. And by pressing OK, the changes will automatically be saved into the file. Now let's check the file again. Yes, as you can see, the changes have been saved. Now I'll accept the work. Now I'm going to check the report. Now the next step is FIRTPA, which is Michael Mosley. Now let's check the diagram. As you can see, the work was in this step, FIR QC's party. Now the system has automatically decided that this kind of work should go to FIR TPA, which means the system checks all the conditions and the data we entered. And it's worth mentioning that the system didn't ask us for the next step, and it automatically detects that the work should go to FIR TPA. So I log in with Michael Mosley, and as you can see, I have the notification again, which means a new work is in my working box. So we check the details again and check the files too. Okay, based on the permission, I will make the necessary changes, which in this case is just one field, which I'm going to check as TPA. I will press OK and save the changes. Now let's accept the work. Okay. In this case, when TPA accepts the work will be sent to the client. As mentioned before, the client has the right to reject the work for 14 days. If the client wanted to reject the work, then the work will move from this one to client reject. If after 14 days the client doesn't reject the work, it will go through line 17 and the work will be finished. And might I add that this flow that which we are seeing for this project is customized for this based on the project's work, which means for other projects you could have different flows, and the steps that you are seeing is completely customizable. At this point, subcontractor will be notified that the work has been accepted and has to return to generate FIR number. So what we are going to do is that we will log in with the subcontractor's user to generate FIR report number. Now we have logged in with the subcontractor's user. As you can see, a notification has been sent to the subcontractors, and you can see that the work has been completed. And this notification could also be received on email or cell phone. Now let's go to generate an FIR number. Since the work has been accepted, the generate FIR number has been activated. Otherwise, the subcontractor had to create a new revision of the work. So the system doesn't allow users to generate FIR number for rejected or incomplete works. Now let's generate FIR number. The status has been automatically selected as accepted since the work is completed, and the system will generate a new number based on project policy. We will select the date and we'll write in our comments. Now, as you can see, the entered data is being displayed. You can see the status is accepted. You have the comment and the FIR number. So we could say that all the required work for field inspection of this equipment has been completed. Now let's move on to some BI reports. In this part, we will look at 4 reports. There are no limitation of reports in Rhyton system, and you can access the reports on web, mobile, or the Windows software. The first one is for the count of inspection notices in the system and their steps. Also, you can filter the data too. For example, you can see the ones which are in FIN or FIR. Plus, you can filter them by date too. In this chart, you can see how many inspection notices we have in each discipline. For example, in telecommunication discipline, we have 2 inspection notices. And for example, for a structural steel, we have 1, and so on. We can drill down on the data too. It gives us the ability to go deeper in the chart. By clicking on each one, it gives us the area, then unit, the party, subcontractor, and the step, and finally the notice number. The drill down in our software supports up to 255 levels. Now let's go to the table. In the table, at first you can see the parties, the subcontractors, and the disciplines. We can see the total number of notices in each step. For example, as you can see in the table, the grand total number of the notices is 14. And for rose gold, FIR accept is 1 notices, and so on. In the reports, we have the ability to export the data anytime we want. By clicking on the export icon, we can print them directly or export them to the PDF or image and Excel. The second one is the count of notices based on area and unit. And I have the same ability to drill down on data too. When I click on them, the next level is the discipline, then the subcontractor, the step, and finally the notice number. And the same thing goes for unit 2. The third one and the next one is for the equipment and their inspections. We can filter the data based on parties, subcontractors, and disciplines. For example, we can see inspections for a certain party or a certain subcontractor. In the chart, we can see the count of inspections for each equipment group with their latest inspection status. For example, for fixed equipment, we have 6 FIR, which has not been issued yet, and they're still in process, and 1 FIN, which is still in progress. And we have the drill down ability too. And in detail view, we have all the details related to inspection notice and inspection report. Here we have the details for the equipment, inspection notice and inspection report. We have inspection date, their activity, their sub-activity, and their latest status, and the step, discipline, area, and units. And finally, the last one is for tracing the latest status of equipment. For each equipment and system, we can filter the data for a certain equipment, or we can filter the date to check the latest status. In the detail, we have all the inspection data for each equipment, from activities, sub-activities to stock code number and the rest of the information. In the pie chart, we have the number of activities performed on each equipment. For example, we can see that about 40% of the of performed activities is related to material verification, or about 7% of the activities are related to the tilling work, and the rest of the data. So these were 4 sample reports in our system. We can create different reports or customize these reports to suit your needs.